You're all very welcome to the breakfast briefing this morning. My name is Carl Lumsden, and this is Christina Faber, who's beside me here as well. So thanks for, not the noise this morning, but thanks for joining us again here today for our third breakfast briefing of the year. I see some familiar faces in the crowd, and some not so familiar. So can I just get a quick show of hands? Is this their first time ever at a breakfast briefing? Quick show of hands.
Half.
Wow, lots of new faces. Okay, great. You're very welcome. So I want to kick off today with, we always talk about feedback and how important it is for you guys to share that feedback with us and what's useful for you. A lot of the feedback that we've had over the last while has been, you'd love the opportunity to ask some questions with some of our experts after the event. That you've got burning questions on, I want to set up this in my search campaign, I want to do this in my shopping campaign, and so on. So we've heard that feedback. So if you turn around now at the back right of the room, you should see 3 of our Google gurus in the black t-shirts. Give us a wave, guys. Thank you. So they'll be outside afterwards. So I would encourage you, please go to them with your questions. Feel free to take advantage of that. They'll be hanging around for about 15 or 20 minutes afterwards, specifically in shopping, search, and analytics as well. So I'd like to do a quick recap of what we've done this year, I suppose, at the breakfast briefing before we talk about this audience today. We started off in February. We did a piece on, I suppose we had a panel and we heard from the likes of Vodafone, we heard from CompuB and Morgan O'Driscoll, and also from Rose Hines, the chairman of the Shannon Group PLC, on the challenges we're all facing today in the digital landscape and also some of the opportunities for us as well. Then last month we had an AI session, an automation session with Jamie Hanaway, and showed us how we can build smarter and more effective campaigns. Today is all about audience. And what do we really mean when we're talking about audience? Breaking it down to its most simple, we're talking about people, customers, consumers, users. How can we make our campaigns more effective? How can we make sure that our message lands with the right person at the right time in the right place? So joining me today is Christina Faber. Christina heads up our display business for our Central Europe team, managing millions of dollars across various campaigns. Christina's been with us for about 6 years, right? About 6 years now?
6 years.
And particularly the last 3 of those years has been focused specifically on our audience solutions, managing over 400 campaigns in that time. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Christina. So please join me in giving her a big round of applause.
It's fine, it's fine. Thank you, everyone. So, welcome to our audience festival. Why do we call it an audience festival? Because in the end, the audience can be found in a lot of different platforms, a lot of different places together with Google. And actually, to get you into the mood of an audience festival, like a music festival, I would like to ask everyone to stand up. Really quick. Wow, now we have a standing crowd, very nice. And now, hands up. And check it out. You may sit down, thank you. So now everyone is in the mood for some festival and for some audience data. So what's really important, everything I'm going to share with you today is actually based on experience. So as mentioned before, I think I have optimized more than 400 campaigns now, and not only on display, but also on search, YouTube, and now I'm also working with DoubleClick. So everything I'm going to share with you today is actually based on real-life experience. Because if we actually think about an ideal world with no competition, so you would be the only person sitting in the room and everyone actually would like to come to your business, to your website, this is how ideal customer journey would look like. So the user is actually going to Google search, for example, is typing in, finds the website, goes to your website and buys. Unfortunately, this is not what's actually happening in the real world with the advertisement business, because this is actually how a customer journey most likely look like. So I'm in the middle, and I'm like, damn, what do I want to do today? And then first I'm checking my emails, then of course I love YouTube. I'm going to YouTube, and then I think, maybe I should buy something. I search it, I go to the website, and then, damn, I dropped my phone into the toilet, so I can't buy today. So what's really important is that all of those different points we can actually use to target our users in the right moment with the right message without actually using every single touch point and wasting a lot of money. So it's really, really important for a good user audience strategy that we are actually identifying who is now the best user to actually target and what kind of message should I show to. And then why it's also really important to have a good audience strategy. It's not only because of me, because my behavior is a little bit strange from time to time if I'm going into the internet, but it's also other users. So what we have seen is that around 76% of users are abandoning the shopping cart without purchasing. So it's not most of the time dropping the phone into the toilet, but there are a lot of other things which could happen, so the user is actually not that active anymore with your website. And then what's also really important, more than half is actually also happening, of the abandoning happening on mobile. So it's really, really important to be present with mobile, to have a good mobile website or an app, to really make it as easy as possible for the user to actually convert on your website. And for this one, I also would like to do another quick game. So everyone who has his and her phone with you, can you please raise it for me? Very nice. I have to take a selfie. Just give me a sec. Keep the phone up, keep the phone up. Here we go. Very nice. Super. Perfect. So everyone has, almost everyone have their phones with you. And now, keep it up again. Who used their phone for checking emails today? Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Perfect. Who used the phone for actually surfing in the internet today? Look, it's almost still half of the audience. And think about it, what's the time? It's before 9, and everyone is already super active. And that's also why it's so important to have as much data as possible on the different devices, also about the user behavior, to really make sure that we can actually target the user in the right moment. And also another example, because I also have the feeling finance could be interesting for Ireland. We can see that especially on finance websites, again, the abandoning rate is quite high. So really let us make sure that we, on the one hand, get the right audience on the website, and then if they don't do what we actually would like them to do, let's get them back to the website. And some positive data as well. What we can actually see, as soon as companies, businesses are actually using audience data. Audience data can be data from Google as well as your own customer data. We can see that they get 85% more sales, and then also plus 25% growth in gross margin. So it definitely makes sense to find the data and then actually use it in the right way. And why it's so important, or why it's actually so easy to do audience buying with Google, as you know, we love 3 things. And those are the 3 things which makes it really easy for you to actually get the audience you would like to have. The first one is data as well as intent. So let me start with the data. What we have 7 properties you can use either to target users or to actually collect data. And then use this data also on different other platforms. So we definitely have search, we have Chrome, we have Gmail, we have YouTube. Don't forget about Maps. Maps is definitely also something we already use and will also use more in the future for data. We also have the GDN, my beloved product, as well as Android and also the Play Store. So there are a lot of properties you can use with over 1 billion users each globally. Because I also assume that you're not only targeting Ireland. For you, it's also interesting to actually look into the EMEA markets as well as into the global markets. Therefore, this is also what we're going to discuss today. The audience strategy will help you to easily expand your business also outside of the area you're already in. So that's the data piece. What's even more important is actually intent. So if you think about intent, the first thing which would pop into your mind if you're working with Google is search. Because user typing, they want something, therefore we are going to show an advertisement. But also in the other platforms, we are actually using a lot of intent data, and you will also see some of the examples later for our different products. So for example, from the display point of view, intent data is super important, especially for the new user targeting. Because you could do 2 things. One thing would be burn some money. You do demographic targeting. Could be a way, but maybe not the best way. Or, for example, in display, you are actually picking in-market segments. In-market segments means we are actually already qualifying the user based on their behavior, as well as on behavior in search, in Gmail, YouTube, and what they're actually searching and what kind of websites they are looking at. And then if we have the feeling, okay, they are quite close to actually purchase or convert based on the category you're in, then we actually say, okay, this is qualified user. We will give it to you as a targeting, and then you can actually use this kind of targeting. So the intent data is super, super important to actually make you successful. Data and intent is super, but it's a lot of data. So what's really, really important is that we're actually using machine learning to qualify the data and really select those points which are the most important ones for you. And what I really liked is, if you think about it, we actually have more than 15 data centers around the globe which are working 24/7. So you can think about a lot of data on the left side. We put it into our data centers, and then we actually make sure that you get the best possible data also from our side. And I will also talk a little bit about the smart bidding a little bit later, which is super closely connected to machine learning and which is also really, really important for a good audience strategy. And then, as mentioned before, it's nice to have one area, but in the end, you're also looking for scale. Scale means new markets. Scale could also mean, I actually would like to have more conversions. I would like to have more sales, more signups. And this is also something we from Google can provide with our audience solutions, really making sure that we can follow the user in a really positive and nice way through the digital touch points they have in the different platforms. So if you remember, I started with emails, went to YouTube, then I surfed. So it's really, really important that we can actually help you connect with your user. So that's the general introduction, why audience targeting is so important. So let me now go more deeper into what's the actual strategy. And as mentioned before, we here at Google, especially also me, we love 3 things. And for a good audience strategy, it's actually only 3 things you have to think about. What kind of targeting do you want to use? What's the creative, what's the message you would actually like to send to those kind of users? And I will show you really, really easily what a strategy could be. And then in the end, you have to decide how you would like to pay for it. In the end, how you would like to optimize for it. So again, do you want to do this? Or do you want to do this? Yes, I got some sales, very nice. And then in the end, what's really nice is that everything we have on our side, we can automate. So you don't have to change the bid manually every second. You can actually let the machine learning do this job for you, and at the same time, feed it with your own data. Because this is one of the things, if my customer is calling me and it's like, Christina, smart bidding is not working for me, I really don't like it. And then I'm asking them, what kind of data are you using? And then they tell me, yeah, of course, we're using last click conversion tracking. And then I'm asking them, is this the real data you have also internally on your side? And they say, no, there's a 40% difference. And then I'm like, okay, maybe that's the reason why the smart bidder is not working for you, because in the end, the machine will only optimize on this piece you're actually giving to the machine. So if you give the machine a lot of data which is actually not relevant for you, it's just doing its job. And it's actually doing a good job because it's giving you more of the data you actually inserted. And this is also one of the things, and I really would like to mention, is so important to think about what's success for you and what kind of data do you actually feed into your AdWords campaigns so that we can optimize them. And that's actually also the first question you should ask yourself. How do you evaluate this kind of success? So is success for you an impression? Fine. I think you will have the easiest game. But in the end, if you think about competition, it won't be the easiest. Because everyone, of course, wants an impression. But again, we actually would like to invest our money into the right audience and someone who is really likely to come to your website and fulfill the desired step you are looking for. Therefore, impression might not be the best piece. For me, what I always like to do with all kinds of clients, so I would say 95% of my portfolio is actually performance clients, and now 5% are branding clients. And the branding clients are a little bit more, let's do CPM. And I'm like, let's think about something else. And with Google Analytics, you actually have a lot of nice options to qualify the user in a better way. Because in the end, what we don't want is everyone on your website, because this will be really expensive. In the end, we would like those users who actually fit to your business and can help you grow. And this is something you should definitely think about. If you have Google Analytics or even with conversion tracking, find something on your website which could be an action which is desired by you. Put it into the AdWords account and let the smart bidder optimize on that. And I'm now doing it with a lot of my big car dealers I'm working with. We actually set up non-bounce traffic because we actually don't want anyone to come to the website and bounce away after 2 seconds. And we just let the smart bidder optimize on it. And since then, they have seen that the overall leads they're actually tracking as well internally, not in the AdWords account, has grown by 15%. Just by adding a really small Google Analytics goal into your AdWords campaigns and then let it run on the smart bidder. So really take your time, think about that, put data into the account, and then let the machine learning optimize on the right thing. If you have questions in between, raise your hand, be brave. If not, we will also have a Q&A later. So I will go on with the second question. Because with the second question, you should also ask yourself, what kind of data do we actually have? So it's again me. And I love remarketing. You don't see it on the picture, but it's on my T-shirt. And then about me, you can actually have 2 different pieces of data. One would be the Google data. So based on my search behavior, also if I have a Google account, I'm logged in, I'm giving you also a little bit data. You know now I'm female, and I'm between 25 to 35 years old. Maybe 25, maybe 35, no one knows. And well, what I'm doing at the moment, I'm actually looking for a new apartment in Berlin. I'm not moving. I'm super in love with Dublin, so I will never move. But I'm actually here. I'm looking for a new apartment in Berlin. I'm doing a lot of research. I'm browsing through home furniture blogs, and all those information actually are going along with me. So I'm not losing this information because I'm doing different things. It's just I'm actually enriching my data profile. And this is actually what we can use from Google's site to actually target me as a female, 25 to 35, interested in furniture. So that's the Google data. At the same time, of course, what we could also use, which is a little bit more sophisticated, but if you ask me, I think in the next 2 to 3 years, this will get even more important. Also keeping in mind with the legislation changes coming in May with GDPR, those kind of really good data which you got with a consent from the user is definitely valuable to do your audience strategy. So what we also have is your data, the advertiser data. There's CRM data as well as website behavior. CRM data is as soon as I board on your website, I became a lead or I signed up on your website, you actually have a little bit more information about me. And then, as you know, Christina loves furniture, so from time to time she's actually also buying furniture. So I got a Gold Shopping Club member. And this kind of information we can actually put also into the AdWords account and then either positively target me based on this data and tell me, look, Christina, this is also a sofa you might like. Come on, buy it. Or what you can also do, we can actually create similar audiences based on this data. So someone who's a little bit like me, I hope this person enjoys that, and then you can actually also target new users based on this data. And then what we also have, website behavior. Easiest one, remarketing. As soon as I'm coming to your website, I will leave some cookie. I will also leave some behavior on your website. So you actually know Christina is always going to the cart, and then, as mentioned, plop, phone is gone. She is not buying. Therefore, I have to remind her after 2 to 3 days, and this is also what the machine learning can do for you, to actually come back to the website and then also buy. So those kind of data, really keep in mind 2 different pieces. Google data, the easiest one, the other one, the advanced one. But in the end, a combination will be super helpful to actually thrive in audience. And then at the same time, what we can also help you with is really giving you an audience suit. Really thinking about the see, think, do, care. So from time to time, you have to invest a little bit into branding. You have to make sure that everyone actually knows that you exist. As mentioned before, in a perfect world, you wouldn't have competition, but there is competition. Therefore, it definitely makes sense to really push new users to your website and actually also get them excited about you. Because that would be the next one, the think. So someone like me searching for furniture, I have a certain intent, but maybe I'm yet not there. I'm not 100% sure what I actually would like to have. And again, it's nice to offer me something. Like, Christina, check out, we have a really nice offer at the moment, or free shipping for you. And then in the end, we go deeper into the targeting. And at the same time, what you also can see, the curve is getting smaller. So less people, but higher intent. And here we have the do. The do means we have a really strong commercial intent. So the user is really, really close to do something on your website. And commercial intent does not mean that this is only for retail. It will work for travel as well as for B2B, education, everything you actually do. We have data to help you to find the right user. And then in the end, care. As mentioned before, I'm a gold shopping member. So this is also something you can either positively target or actually use to really get more data for the new user targeting. And this is also something I would like to show you here. A really, really easy concept, how you can actually think about this see, think, do, care, and then at the same time also break it as easily down as possible. So if we could swap to this one. Please, Keith. It's there. Okay, super. So what I do, if, for example, I'm going to my client and do a display workshop, I tell them, if we think about all of the different audience targeting strategies we have, let's do this. I love to draw, just by the way. So what I do, I'm drawing always 3 funnels. So if you think about, again, what you've seen before, the see, think, do, care. First question to you, why is it a funnel if I think about audience targeting strategies? Audience targeting I can actually set up in the AdWords account. Why is it this shape? It could also be a circle. It could be a heart, because I'm totally in love with audience. Why is it a funnel? Any ideas? There has to be one proud person in the group. If not, I just throw the ball at you. Focus, yeah, focus. Really interesting. Absolutely. What I mentioned before, the deeper we go into the funnels, the less audience you will actually reach. So definitely the reach is changing. So really high reach above. And then the lower you go, the ROI, the return on investment, will be better because you're actually reaching less people, but highly qualified people. So that's the first one. Perfect. Thank you so much. Next question would be, if we are thinking again about display as well as search or YouTube, why is it 3 funnels? I could draw just one funnel and telling everyone, okay, those are the different targeting options we have. This gives you a lot of reach. This gives you a really high return on investment. Why is it 3 funnels? Say it again, a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. So different points of contacts. Think about the user. It also has to do something with the user. Journey. Give me a little bit more detail on the journey, but journey is actually the word I'm looking for. Purchase, yeah. So I give you a hint. This is a customer. Someone who did the journey, who had a different entry point also on to your website, they are actually already bought. So they are qualified with new data. So if this is a customer, what would be this one? Potential customer. Those are our new users. And then in the middle, don't forget about those existing users. Existing users are not yet a customer. Those are the people who are actually coming to your website and then bouncing away, or actually getting distracted and then going away. And this is something you really have to keep in mind. In the end, we have 3 different buckets, which are also feeding each other. Because what we can do, we can actually use customer data to create the similar audiences. And those similar audiences are super, super highly qualified because it's based on your user profile. It's not just based on a remarketing list, for example, card abandoners. It's really something you say, okay, I have my gold members here. I do my remarketing list on it, and then I get the similar audiences, and I can actually get new users with a really similar profile who have not converted yet on my website and never been to my website. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind. And then with some of my clients, what I have as a challenge is actually this. So they're only doing the customer piece, or they are only doing the existing user piece, because what they are interested in is ROI. Absolutely fine, 100% understood. But at the same time, what's happening, if you take away one of the other channels, you are taking away data. And you are actually taking away potential growth. So really keep that in mind, that in the end, it definitely makes sense to start with an ROI focus, but don't forget about actually feeding the funnel from above. And for this, I would like to show you something else to really, really simplify. So if you think about, okay, how do I make sure that they are not only investing into the ROI-driven pieces, only into the remarketing pieces? What I like to do is this. So I draw again. This is me, long hair. And what I like to do is actually fish. Fishing. So I have my pond. And now what's going to happen, I do my targeting. I invest a little bit into a really good, I actually don't know what's in English, like the thing. And then I actually pull out my fish. Super. The fish is delicious. It's a perfect customer. I ate the fish, and then I put it back into my pond. Because at the moment, I'm just doing remarketing, nothing else. And I'm happy. I get a lot of good meals on my table, but in the end, someday, I will actually pick out the fish I already ate, and then there is no meal for this day. So what's really important is that there's actually an ocean outside of your pond, outside of your lake. But in this ocean, what we actually have is a little bit of a challenge. It's those guys. Those are like super small. But at the same time, we also have those guys. And from time to time, if we're lucky, we have a shark. And now what we're trying to do is actually using our data we have here to identify similar fish we actually would like to have as our customer in our pond. And then from time to time, maybe we also get a shark, get additional information. We are not eating sharks because that's definitely not okay. We get the shark in there, new data, and then also can expand. At the same time, those could be also interesting. That's actually the investment into the branding piece. We just have to make sure that at least they have some similarities we can actually use to actually grow those small fish into big fish. So really keep that in mind. I'm going back to my presentation. Thank you. So just to give you some ideas what kind of targeting we can use also for the different funnels, for the different steps. So what we have, demographics, I will also deep dive a little bit into it. Affinity audiences. Affinity audiences, for example, I have a cat now. I always consider myself as a dog person, but as soon as she's giving me a little bit of love, I'm also in love. So I'm a cat person now. I have a cat. I'm watching a lot of YouTube cat videos, and therefore I have a really, really strong affinity now for cats. So it could be interesting if you're actually selling pet food. Target me, because I'm in love with my cat. So that's definitely something. Affinity audience is, in general, an interest. It's not giving you the intent, like purchase behavior, but it's actually giving you someone who might be also interested in the certain affinity, which actually suits your business. Then for the think piece, we have similar audiences, as mentioned before. Consumer patterns, I will explain in a second, and also live events. For the do, as mentioned before, in-market audiences. If you're going back to my example with my cat, so in general, I have a big affinity now for cats, but at the same time, what I also do, I love to buy toys for her. But I'm still indecisive what kind of toy she might like. Because what I would like to avoid, I'm buying something, and then she's like, meh, I don't care. So I'm doing a lot of research at the moment. I'm going to a lot of comparison websites to actually see where I can buy the cheapest and at the same time the highest rated toys. And then I actually have an in-market for cats or cat toys. We also have custom intent, big fan of it. I won't spoil you yet, but I will definitely talk about it. And then for care, we have customer match and remarketing. So let me deep dive a little bit into the C. What we have now is actually detailed demographics. So as mentioned before, demographics could do this, but at the same time, what we now offer for YouTube, as well as for search at the moment, just in beta in the US, but it will definitely come to EMEA, is that we actually can use relationship status, parenting stage, household income, home ownership. So it's still demographics, but at the same time, it's enriched demographics. So this could be a nice way, if you think about the small fish, to actually identify those fish as well, and then also target them. And what's also really, really nice, as mentioned before, machine learning will actually help, again, inside of this data pool to qualify the right audience for you. So that's the detailed demographics. What we have on the think side, so we're actually going a little bit deeper, a little bit more intent, not yet there, but still interesting, is actually consumer patterns. Those are new affinities we have. What is consumer patterns? It's shopping behavior, lifestyle, and consumption habits. One example would be, for example, someone who loves to go to music festivals. Could be interesting if you're selling tents or rain gear. Might be definitely a good audience for you. We also have people who love to go dining out. And then also for the dining out, we actually even have categories for that. So like high quality or more expensive, cheaper. So everything is there. And then you can actually also use this kind of information. And then, as you can see, with us, it's never stale. We really try to actually give you even more. So what's coming is also that we will give you segments inside of vehicles and transportation. So someone who's rather using public transport or someone who loves to go with a train somewhere could also be an interesting audience if you're, for example, selling books or your audiobooks, something like that. And where are we actually using those kind of signals? Because as you can think, it's not only online data, it's also offline data. We're actually using Google Search, Google Maps Search, and also YouTube. So a lot of data from the different platforms, as mentioned before. How many properties do we have? 7. Very good, thank you. And you can actually use it on YouTube, Gmail, and it will also come for double-click. Next one would be similar audiences. Easy, as mentioned before, the standard similar audiences we have is based on your remarketing list. Here, inside tip from my side, really don't go for similar audiences on cart abandoners or product abandoners. Because in the end, this is actually behavior you don't want to have on your website. Some of the best performing similar audiences are, of course, converters. But if you actually have different categories, different services on your website, I would also definitely go for converter in a certain category, create this list, and get your similar audiences on that one. What we will also have or already have is if you're using customer match. Customer match means you're using hashed email addresses from your customers, and you upload it into the AdWords account. We can actually create similar audiences also based on customer match, which is nice. If you think about the gold shopping example again, this is actually what you could use to optimize your search campaigns, as well as YouTube, display, and also Gmail as a new function. So it's really nice to use similar audiences to find new potential users for your website. Now let's go a little bit more into the do. And one of the newest additions we actually have, the custom intent audiences. And for the custom intent audiences, I just go back to my drawing piece. Custom intent is actually an in-market. As mentioned before, in-market, search behavior, but more likely to actually already convert on your website. But with custom intent, what you can actually do, you can create your own in-market based on URLs and keywords. So what we would do, you put in a URL, and then we check the behavior, the user profiles, who are likely to go to those kind of URLs. And then you can actually also enrich it with keywords. So someone who is likely to go to this website and is searching for those kind of keywords in YouTube as well as in search. So if you think about this logic, what would be a good way to create a custom intent? What kind of URLs would you use? I have some ideas, but I won't tell. What could be an idea? I'm looking for 3 ideas, just to give you a feeling what I'm looking for. Thank you page, absolutely. So, thank you for the thank you page. So you could use your own website. So if you have something really specific on your website, which is also a unique selling point compared to the competition, use this kind of URL, enrich it with keywords, and then you actually have also a new user targeting, which is really, really dedicated to actually get the user on your website, or who can actually also convert. So super, yeah, I would definitely also use my own website just to see what kind of users I can actually target, and you get actually insights on that one. As soon as you create it, you will see what's the affinities, the other in-markets, what's the demographics, so you get a lot of information on your own users. Absolutely, I would use my own website. Could there be another website you can use, which is not your own, but close to your own? A little bit louder. Competitors. So I can't write the word out. I put it like this. Yes. Definitely think about it. It's not competitor retargeting. But in the end, it's identifying audiences who are actually likely to go to those kind of websites. And what you can do then, you can combine it with your own keywords. Because by this, you can actually target users who are a little bit indecisive. So on the one hand, they are going to the competitor. At the same time, they are still looking for you. They just don't know if it actually makes sense now at the moment to go to your website. But if you send the right message and let them know, come on, we have X, Y, Z, and this is why we are really, really good, and we would love to have you as a customer, you can actually really nicely grow your audience here. And with custom intent, at the moment, we can use it in YouTube. We can use it in display, in the GDN, and also on the DBM on the double-click side. So really nice. I have to say, out of my 50 clients who are using it at the moment, there's only one case where it's not working. And this might be because the website they picked is maybe not the best one. So definitely think about it to actually use this kind of data to optimize your campaigns. Another example would also be topic-related. So what you can actually do, you could use YouTube channels as URLs. If you're really interested in a certain audience, and it's really, really hard to get them inside of the GDN or anywhere else, it could be interesting to actually use the YouTube channel, create your audience, and then combine it again with keywords. So really be creative, because that's the nice thing about audience strategies. Either you use what we offer you, or you actually test something new with the data you actually have on your site. So that's custom intent. Let's jump back to the presentation, please. Custom intent, as mentioned, keywords, URLs. We will also send around the presentation later, and also a playbook for display, so you can have a little deeper look into it. And really nice, I would definitely use it. So for the last part, the care, as mentioned before, customer match. Customer match, really interesting. Just make sure that you follow all of the rules and requirements for customer match, just to be fine on the legal side. But actually, you can't upload email address non-hashed anymore, so this should be fine. And then with customer match, what we can also do now, it's not only matching emails, mailing, but we can now also actually match mailing addresses and phone numbers. So first-party data, which is really nice, because in the end, what we actually do with customer match, you send us an email address, and then on our side, we actually check if we have a user profile for this email address, and then actually match it with a cookie, and then you can actually use it as a remarketing list or as a similar audience list. And then now we would also do it with mailing addresses and phone numbers. As long as we have the data on our side and we can match it, it will be a qualified user for you, and you can actually use for targeting. If we don't find a match, this user won't appear in our targeting, and therefore actually fine. So customer match, definitely interesting. 3 strategies which are, I think, really easy with customer match. The first one, you should always create a list with your VIP clients. So those clients who are super active on your website, buying a lot, also going for the premium service you actually have, create a remarketing list. You don't have to target them positively, but you can actually use them as similar audiences. That's number 1. Number 2 would be the high potential. So someone who has a similar behavior, but is just not yet there. So not buying as much, not doing as much as the VIP client, but at the same time, if we give them a little bit of incentive, it could be that they actually turn into a VIP client. And then the last piece I would always set up just to see what's actually happening with those kind of emails are the dormers. So someone who has been on your website, did something really nice, and then they forgot about you. So maybe they just need a quick reminder or maybe a nice YouTube video to actually make sure that we can explain why it's so nice to come to your website, to use your business. And then you also have the dormers active again via customer match. Customer match can be used in search, Gmail, as well as in YouTube. And hopefully, end of year, we will also have it in GDN, which is really, really nice, also for me, because I like GDN, to actually target more users outside of search and outside of YouTube. This piece is the remarketing piece. As mentioned before, I like funnels. And also for the remarketing, I would always go with the different funnel steps to set up and see everyone who has come to my homepage, but then bounced, did not convert. Everyone who came to my category page, again, checked something out, they abandoned, and so on. And then you have product abandons, cart abandons, purchases, because in the end, for every single step on the website, you could send a different message. So someone here might be really likely to already convert. Someone on the general visitors, a YouTube video would be maybe the best just to actually inform what they can do on your website. And then what you can also do, this is more on the search side. If you really think about how long should you target a user who has been on your website, this should always depend on if you're using smart bidding or not. Smart bidding, aka machine learning, will definitely help to optimize and pick, again, the right users out of a really, really big pool of data to make sure that they actually convert. So if you're using smart bidding, I would go for the longest period possible. If you're not using smart bidding, I would start a little bit smaller in the beginning and then step by step actually increase your audiences to really make sure that you have enough data, and the system can also optimize on that one. So this is how you would treat the remarketing list for search ads. In the playbook, there's a little bit more information, so we will share it with you later. And then, if you're looking for the all-in-one solution, especially on the display side, we now have a smart campaign, a smart display campaign. So the smart display campaign is smart because of 3 different things. It's smart because it's actually using all of the targeting we've seen before. Then it's smart because it's using the smart bidding. And it's smart because it's actually creating smart creatives for you. So what you do with a smart display campaign, you actually can add 5 headlines, 5 descriptions, up to 15 images. And for every single auction, the system will find the perfect combination out of all the different assets you have based on the conversion likelihood of the user. So this is definitely something built for simplicity and transparency to help to actually go into GDN and actually optimize your users on that one. So now I actually gave you the full overview, what kind of targeting options we have. Here I also put in, again, what do we have in GDN, search, Gmail, YouTube, and double-click. And now you actually have to decide, okay, where am I? Where do I would like to invest? And then you can use the different targeting options. And what I always would keep in mind is that think about the media plan. So really, what's my goal for see? What's my goal for think? What's my goal for do? What's my goal and also my KPI? So how do I actually track it for care? And then you can actually think about what kind of different targeting options you use in the different channels. And also think about if there's any way to actually connect display with search or YouTube with search, see with do. So there's a lot of things you can actually do. Just start with something and make sure, as on this slide, that you're actually also using the bidding piece so that the bidding is really helping you achieving the business goals you're looking for to actually optimize on your campaigns. And this is also a really nice overview why smart bidding is so important. Alone with eCPC, so moving away from the CPC, which is optimizing on clicks, with the eCPC, you are optimizing on conversions. You can already get 10% more conversions. If you don't have conversion tracking in your account, no additional conversions, so you have to optimize manually. But with the smart bidder, just by activating the eCPC, in general, average 10% more conversions. Then target CPA can actually optimize on the cost of a lead, cost of an acquisition, cost of a sale. This can already give you 20% more conversions. And this is quite conservative, I have to say. In average, with my portfolio, I see at least 30 to 40% more conversions as soon as I'm moving to target CPA. And then target ROAS, what this can actually do for you, it can give you up to 30% more conversions on a given conversion value. So we are not talking about the cost of conversion here anymore. We are talking about the value. So is someone buying sunglasses for €5 or a leather jacket for 5,000 euros? And then is optimizing on it. This is what the target ROAS would do for you. And then especially on the display side, we have additional automation you can use to get on top even more conversions with the aggressive targeting as well as with the conservative targeting. But what we need for smart bidding is actually data. As mentioned before, also, if you think about the slide about Google Analytics, if you're not giving any data to the AdWords account, what's going to happen is we either optimize on impressions or on clicks, but in the end, not on the audience you're looking for. So really think about what kind of data points you can use on top, maybe, of your conversion tracking, on top of Google Analytics. And those are some ideas which you can do, which is also explained in the playbook. So if you have time and you're really hooked now with audience strategies, really have a look into what kind of data we can actually use to optimize our audience strategies. And with this, I don't have a thank you slide, but an appending slide. I say thank you. Do we have any questions?
Hi, just to clarify, the imported conversions are from your CRM system?
Yeah, so imported conversions you can either import from Salesforce or from your CRM system. In the end, it's just a CSV file you're uploading into the AdWords account, and then you can actually optimize on your attributed, your clean data.
And does that use enhanced e-commerce too?
Ask again.
How do you import with enhanced e-commerce, or how do you import?
So there are different ways. You can either do it via an API, you can do it via a manual upload, CSV, XLM, it's all the different pieces. You can actually find it in the Help Center. It's really nicely explained there.
Thanks.
Good. Any other questions? I'm not good at throwing, so please mind your head.
Hi. We have information on Google Analytics ID. Could we upload that into Google AdWords as well?
Yeah.
Great. And same with email address and any information we have. Okay.
Yeah, that's super cool. So especially with Google Analytics, you have a lot of different ways to use user IDs, CRM IDs to actually also upload into the AdWords account and get remarketing lists on that one, and also combine it with smart bidding. So I personally, I'm a big fan of Google Analytics, and I also have the feeling that conversion tracking might go rather to the Google Analytics piece than actually to the conversion tracking we have on the AdWords side.
Just one more question.
A little bit closer to.
Bye.
Yeah.
One more question is, can we upload it to Google Analytics, the Google Analytics ID, if we get the information?
So you would like to upload the Google Analytics ID to... you come to me later. I have to double check that because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Good. Anyways. Any other questions? Maybe you can throw it there. Yeah, or like this. We do step by step.
How does the consumer data from your CRM work with GDPR?
So in general, what we do is, or we already always did, is that we are actually asking for the user to proactively say, yes, it's fine to actually use my data as soon, for example, as you're creating a Google profile. So this is already in there. And then what we are also going to do is there are a lot of changes also on the Google Analytics side to really make sure that only non-identifiable information is actually in there, and then we're using this targeting. So you can be 100% ensured that we already did a lot in the past, because especially for us, the audience targeting for all of our different platforms is super important, but there will actually be more to come, and we are fully ready for May for the changes.
Great. So it won't be our issue. It's kind of,
no.
We give you the data, but we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, so you will actually see, you will get reminders or even alerts if you're trying to do something which is not compliant with the GDPR.
Okay.
Good. There was a question over there, if you can throw it there. Pew, very good.
Is there a limit to the competitor URLs you can upload?
Super good question. So there's no real limit, but what I've seen so far is that if you stick with 5, you are actually, it's the best user profile, because what you would like to avoid is to dilute the user profile again. If you're putting too many in there, it could be that in the end we are opening up the funnel again, and therefore less likely that the user is converting. If you would like to use more than 5, I would create different segments. So like 5 closest URLs, then topic-related, and then the broadest ones. I think that's the best approach. And what you can still think about everything, to put everything into one ad group, let the system optimize with the target CPA or eCPC, and then if you see there's a certain element you would like to push more, you put it in a separate ad group with an own target. Yeah, super question, thank you. Behind you.
Is there a section in the playbook that would explain how to do that, like the custom intent side of it and the competitor side of it? Just
it's in there.
Oh, great.
And then you can use it for display as well as for YouTube, and hopefully in the future it will also come for search.
Great, thank you.
Another question behind you. Am I missing someone in the middle? No.
Yeah, so really thanks for your presentation. It was really interesting.
No worries.
So you're talking about a lot about real-time data,
yeah.
But is there any data which is actually forecasting where the customer will be in the future?
Let me think. So, interesting. Yes, this is interesting. So what we definitely do is every single time the user is doing something else, we consider this already as a new behavior, and then the user profile might change. So what you can definitely see if you, for example, go into your AdWords account, under Shared Library, if you have remarketing lists and then audiences, you can see actually the audience insights, where you can see based on the remarketing list what kind of in-markets, what kind of affinities you have. And I have customers where we can actually see seasonality. So it's actually changing. So this is definitely something we are doing in real time. As soon as the user behavior is changing, it will be reflected in the targeting. At the same time, the prediction into the future is actually done by the smart bidder, by eCPC, target CPA, and target ROAS, because the system on the one hand is looking back to the data we already had, creating the user profiles based on your conversion tracking, the conversions you have, and then it's also predicting the future. And here it could also predict, especially this is what the Smart Display campaign is doing, it can also predict, now it makes sense to go for this in-market. Now it makes sense to go for this affinity. So this is using real-time information, but at the same time actually looking into the future. Does this answer your question?
Yes.
Super. Do we have time for one more question? One more. Do we have one more? Yeah, here in the front. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Careful. Very good. It's not in the front. Perfect.
Sorry, I was just wondering, can you find out lookalike audiences with just emails captured by your website?
Yeah, that would be customer match and similar audiences. Yeah.
And could you group multiple emails
Yeah.
together to...
Absolutely. So what I personally do is the 3-type strategy, the VIPs, the high potential, and the dormers. But you could actually think about your own strategy and group email address and then upload as one file into the AdWords account.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Then, thank you so much for being here today. You know, feedback is a gift. Please give feedback. Enjoy your Friday and happy weekend.